And now, from Glasgow.
Okay, so this is issue 112, trailer supports, and as you see it's quite a few parts today. So as always, let's start with the parts checklist. And whoops, they've just gone everywhere. Didn't quite cut that top bit off. There's only one piece left, so I'll rip it open. Oh, that's a bit heavy, that one. Okay, so stage 112. We have got two round trailers, two round trailer foots. They look quite nice. Parts 2 is and 3 is a left support head and the right support head. Now I can see there's an L and an R on there. Let's zoom in. We can get a closer look at the parts. I think that will do it. So you obviously won't see where I'm placing the parts, but so these have got L and R on them. So you can see the L on there, and this is the R. Can I see it? There we are. That's got the R on it. They're plastic, as are the heads. So piece number 4 and 5 is the right and the left reinforcement bar. And again, that's got an L and an R on it. This one's got an R on it, so that is the right. So let me just check the right reinforcement bar and the left. And then piece 6 looks like some kind of crank. Crank handle, that's metal. That I'm a little bit surprised at, but I'm happy with it. Right, so we've got left and right support in a panel. That's got an R on it. That one's got an L on it. So 7 the left and the right, and then 9 and 10 is the left and the right support outer panel. So that is the left, and that's the R because that's got an R on it. 11 is a we've got 11 and 12 are cogs for the left and the right supports, but they've got a different shape on them, so I'll place them there. I know we'll figure that out as it goes. 16, they place them in a funny order. Right, so 16 is a pin which is going there. 15 is a shaft. Sorry guys, I don't know if you saw the pin, I was looking at the magazine. So the shaft goes there. That leaves 13 screw mechanism times 2. That feels like it's got a metal shaft with a plastic cog. Are we liking plastic cogs? I'm not sure, we'll soon find out. And that leaves pieces 14 screw casing times 2. So we've also got some packs of screw, 3 packs of screws. We've got PB screws, DP14, DD04 and DP01. So let's come out of the zoom a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a bit better, and let's proceed. Okay, so I did just take a quick cut there just to check the volume was on, which it was. The microphone, you know what I'm like with my microphone. Right, so we're going to be doing the same thing twice. We want to take these housings and we want to take these feet, and we want to attach the bottom with a DP01 screw. Now there's 3 screws in the bag. We're going to need 2, so we know that's all we're going to need for this issue. So get our screw ready. Oh, that's the tiniest screwdriver head that I have. No, it isn't. There we go. So get that ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our post on the end there like so. It actually seems to hold in quite well without the screw in, but we are just going to pop that screw in there and we're going to screw that in, and it's a plastic screw, so we only want to keep going until the resistance changes, and that's rather nice. So we'll do that with the second one. Nice easy start. I've just spoken up then. We know something's going to happen now, don't we? Because I've just commented on how easy this is, this issue. Right, so that's gone until it's... So there are 2 support posts. So obviously the trailer, it will be supported by the truck when it's attached to the truck. But when you take it off the truck, you need to lower these arms so that obviously then it's ready for when the trailer comes in. Right, so next we want to place in our screw mechanisms. The main thread on part has to be screwed into the open end of one of the casings. This shows one of the screw mechanisms about 1 centimetre into the casing. Okay, so 1 centimetre will be roughly there. So we'll screw that in like so. I'm going to confess I have seen this built, so I have looked at the way it was built and I think there's a way of getting this exactly right. Obviously what we want is we want both pegs to be exactly the same length so that they lower and raise together. But that's those in quite nice. Now what we want to do is take fit the first screw mechanism assembly into the left support outer panel, and that's going to go in. There we go. This is what I was looking at. So we've got a little, does it go that way? No, it actually goes there. Right, of course it does. Right, so it needs to go in. You see you've got two gaps there. You don't want to put it in there, you want to put it into there. So what's going to happen is that will be free to go up and down, and it looks like, right, so we just want to adjust this. So what I'm going to look at doing, if you see that cog is just down as far as it will go, but that isn't. So what we want to do is just keep adjusting this. So as we adjust it, we're going to pull this down, and that's going to allow that. I just want to see how far that will go down. I think that is all the way down anyway. Right. There we go. Right. I have a theory, guys. Right, let's have that open more than a centimetre. Right. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling that support leg down as far as I can, and then I'm just screwing this so it's tighter and tighter. And then what will happen is that will reach a point. Yeah, it's going to pull it up. Right. saying that, I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference. There we go. Right, so let's adjust this one so it's about the same, because we know our next one is going to be in here. You know, I don't think it's going to make a hell of a lot of difference. You know, I think we should have put these legs on first, the feet on last, because look, if we didn't have the feet on, we could actually hold these together so we can tell that they are exactly the same length. It's just that if they're not exactly the same, it could sit at an angle. So this is kind of a technical bit. Right, I'm happy with that. I think I am happy with that. See, now I'm not happy with that. Now I'm happy. By eye, sorry, they look exactly the same. Right, so we're dealing with the left one first. So once that's on, we want our left casing, and that's going to go in like so. And we need to make sure that they've got both the L's. So take that out, have a look. I can see there's an L on there, and then on that casing there's an L. Spots on. And that needs to be fixed with DP14 screws, which are these ones. And once we've done that, we are going to do exactly the same with the right hand side. So I think I'll just do both of them now. 1, 2, I'm just wondering, once we actually put this in, like I say, I have seen this built. Normally I go straight into the magazines. I've not watched anyone build anything, so any discoveries that I make are my own. But as I say, I did cheat a little bit. I was just gone through the Christmas period, even though it's what, January, February now. You know, I build these at, yeah, it's now the end of January. Yeah, I did do a bit of it's only so much terrible TV you can watch at Christmas. Right, that one's going in there, and I'm just wondering whether I need to mark these, because now we've hidden those labels up, so I can't actually see which is the left and which is the right. But I have a feeling if you try to fit the left one onto the right, it just won't go. Tell you what we could do, let's put the left one on the left, shall we? And then we'll put the right one on the right. Does that make sense? That's almost too simple, isn't it? Not like me to come up with something really simple. If it's something that can be complicated, then I'll make it complicated. Not sure if I'm liking the silver screws, but they do the job, don't they? Right, now that's interesting. So, oh, it does. Oh God, I shouldn't have done that. So that's quite loose and that's quite tight. So I'm a little bit worried about that, because if that's tight, is it going to turn freely? I don't think it is. See, this one being loose, that's going to turn nice and easy. This one, I really don't like that. Just going to back these screws off a bit, see if that makes any difference. I'm not happy with this, guys. Right, so it could be that I've put it in wrong. It could be that the part's maybe a piece of paint block, but something is stopping that from turning freely. Now what I suspect is paint block. It's either paint block or I've put the part in wrong. If it's paint block, it's easy. Obviously if it's me putting the part in wrong. Right, so I think it's there. Yeah, look. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to give that a bit of a scrape. Didn't think I'd put the parts in wrong. So just be wary of that. That has to rotate freely. Yeah, see that's stiff. Right. Just got to figure out exactly where it's stiff, because there's no point scraping away at a part that's not rubbing. So it's in there nice. I think it's there. So what I'm going to do is this is actually a panel line scriber. It's going to take, I think we've got a little bit of flash. I think that's what it is. As I say, if that rubs, and we've only got plastic cogs, so it's going to put a lot of pressure on those. That's a lot better, isn't it? That's much better. Yes, that's a lot better. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that a couple more scrapes just for good luck. And I'm sorry guys, I'm not self-indulgent, but I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that, because I've spotted it now. What if I hadn't spotted that until much later on? Yeah, I'm a lot happier with that. Right, so let's screw just the top screws in, and we'll see if that's made much difference still. So obviously once you screw this panel in, it's going to push it in a bit tighter, but there is a visible difference. And if it's not, yeah, that's okay. I'm alright with that. Right, so is that a faulty part, would you say, guys, or is it just something that you've just got to kind of expect every now and again? I don't actually think that was paint blocks. I don't think those parts were painted. I think they were molded in red plastic. But yeah, that's an interesting concept, isn't it? What is a faulty part? If I mean, I'm tempted to say a faulty part is something that needs replacing. Now, I'm still a bit stiff. I really don't know now. I really don't know. Yeah, that's a really stiff cog. And this has to work. Right, guys. I think it might be further down as well. I wonder if the problem's actually, no, I see, it's okay. No, I think I'm just going to scrape at that a bit more. Right guys, I'm going to do a cut because this is dragging on with making subtle changes to it, but you've seen what I've done, and it's just a case of taking a little bit away there and I think I might give that a bit of a rub with sandpaper as well. So what we want that to be able to move freely. Just that once it's screwed in, it doesn't move as freely. Okay, so I've just shaved a little bit more away. It's a lot looser. That cog is still a little bit stiff, but it does move okay. It doesn't move as well as this one. I'm going to go with it. We're going to see how it goes. I may have to take the whole lot apart again, and we'll see what happens. I might be in a position to test it beforehand. Right, so the next thing we're going to need is we need to take this shaft and we need to pop one of the cogs on, and there's a little notch on there, whereas on the other side there's a little bit. It's very hard to see, but they've taken a little bit away and they've made it D-shaped. So what we're doing is, there we go, there's the D-shaped cog. So we actually want this one, and there's a little notch in the cog. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the correct side, but it doesn't want to go. Right, let me check this. So it wants to go large side that way, and it really doesn't want to go. We know once that's on, that's not going anywhere. Right, there we go, that's in place. Right, and that wants to go on the trailer, but I'm going to see if I can just test it. Right, that works absolutely fine. Yeah, that works. I mean, it doesn't work very well because everything's not supported, but yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. One thing I was worried about, there was going to be too much pressure on a plastic cog. Right, so I'm going to have to work over things because now I'm going to move everything. This is a little bit awkward. Did I have two of those or one? I don't know. I'm worried I've lost pieces now. I did just have a cat jump up here, so it is possible that she's accidentally picked a piece up. Right, so there's my trailer. This is the area that we're working on, and we're going to need to put this through. I can't figure it out. Is it here? Okay, so take the trailer chassis and lay it on its side. On its side. Okay, so that you can access the left beam, which is this one. Screw holes in the top of the outer panel. Hang on, this is confusing. Lay on its side. Identify the fixing point for the left chassis, left support on the left chassis part. Screw holes in the top. Right, so we're not touching this yet, we're just identifying the screw holes. So that's going to go in like that. Now, I think this is actually the left one. Two reasons. One is the right doesn't want to go on properly, and secondly, this tab, which you can't see because I've got a terrible angle, so I tried to put this on. It really doesn't want to go. I think this is in the way, but I can see that on the left one, this tab wants to go there, like so. And we need to fix the support in place with two DD04 screws. Right, and there's my DD04s, and there's a lot of them, so I'm just going to take out what I need. just ended up ripping the whole bag open. Right, so we need 2 DD04s. And there's one going in there. Okay. And one going in there. This is actually probably a lot simpler than I've made it look. Where's my other screw? There we go. Get that in nice and tight because it is going into metal. It's quite a lot of screwing to do on this one. These aren't the kind of screws where you just screw them a few times and they're in. I know there's a bit of a science with thread count, screw count, whatever you want to call it. But that's a little tiny bit of a wobble, but they haven't been attached to the supports yet. But saying that, that screw we can get a few more turns on. Right, so next we want to pop in the screw thread, and we've got a hole on the through the chassis there, and that's going to go in through the other side. And either I've got that wrong, because that's not going all the way through. Possibly because I've got it in the wrong hole. That's interesting. Oh, I see, yes. Right, so as I've put it in, we've got a little notch on there. That's to stop it from going through too far. So that bit there is smaller than the hole, that bit's bigger. And as you pass it through, it does catch on that cog. So you just kind of need to sort of lift it a little bit. Right, and that's not, there we go. That's connecting lovely. So, there we go. So there's a nice little way to figure that out. Just screw it anti-clockwise until that support is down fully, and it will just stop. Okay, right, so once that's in place, we need to attach a cog on the opposite side. Which is a strange way of doing it if you ask me, but I've got a feeling this is going to work. Right, so we have a D-shaped shaft, so it's only going to go on one way. I'm sorry if you can't see very well. Right, and right where the shaft, the D shape ends, it's not going to go in too far. So that's going to give us just, I don't think that's right, you know. I think it is right. Okay, so obviously there's movement, but I think what's going to happen is once we get this support on, it's going to stop that movement. So it's actually not. Right. So what we want to do now is do the same with this. We want to move this cog all the way down until it won't go any further. And I can't figure out if that's going up or down. This is the stiff one. Oh, I just set the screwdriver off. I think I'm going to have a struggle with this. It is going to move. we know it's going to move. Can I use this? I don't think that is going to go now. I think I need to do some more work on this. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to make that even looser. Okay, so I think I've got that about as good as I'll ever get it. I've ground away a little bit at it, so as you see it's not sticking in there. The main problem is actually the screw thread going into the actual stand, and what I've done is I put some oil in and I've screwed it in and I've unscrewed it, and I think that's about as good as I'm ever going to get it. So we'll see how this goes. So obviously stepping backwards a bit. That wants to go. I'm trying to find this backwards and it's not going that well. Right, so we pop that shaft through and then lift it up so it goes in. I'm just going to take a quick cut, guys. Okay guys, I think I've cracked it. I think this does actually work. So I've also found the best way to put these trailer legs in. So what you want to do is when you put the first trailer leg in, extend it as far as it will go. Once it's reached full extension, it won't turn anymore. So easy. Right, there we go. It won't turn anymore. Then we've got this one that we think is fully extended. So do a little dry fit. You'll have to lift the trailer up possibly. Right, and get it so that, so holding that, now I can see that that leg is a little bit short by about 2 millimeters. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to pull this trailer leg in a bit, maybe about 2 millimeters, and then I'm going to dry fit this again. And I put it on the wrong way round, that's why it won't fit. So lift it up, do a dry fit, and am I happy? Well, yes, I think I am. Now I got that. To be honest with you, it took me about 4 or 5 attempts to get that spot on last time, and then what I've done is I extended the leg just to show you. Actually, I'm not quite happy. I think this isn't quite right. So I'm going to just bring that leg down a little tiny bit more, and then we have to lift the trailer leg up. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, so now I know these two trailer legs are exactly right. Right, so once that's on, then we need to attach this with 2 more. What are we attaching that with? DD04 screws, which is this one. So let's get that on. Right, that's one screw in partially, and I may just have to take a short break because there's a bit of activity in the house. We'll get this leg on though, so that I've got something to admire. Right. And because that's going into metal, that screwdriver isn't going to cut it. And this will also enable me to see how these cogs will go, because there was a lot of movement in that cog and I was a bit worried that wasn't going to engage properly. But you know me, I'll give it a chance. Obviously once all the screws are in and everything tightens up, that usually changes the dynamics quite a bit, doesn't it? Right, there we go. Oh yeah, that's much better. And do you know what? Both of those are turning fine. Right, except that one of... Yeah, I'm happy with that. I can't turn it very well because I've got slightly greasy fingers and I'm turning a smooth shaft. But from what I can see, it seems to be fine. So, yeah, that's fine. So although that cog has got a bit of movement in it, it's got quite a bit of movement actually. But this cog is turning. But only a little. Yeah, it's turning. So I'm happy enough with that. Right. So the next step is using... We're going to have to get our DP14 screws ready. And what we're going to have to do is put these little caps on. Now, I think they are directional. So as we're here, we will put this one on first. And there we go. So I'm going to turn that on its side so I can show you what I'm going to do. So we have this cap. It's got two holes. This hole in the middle wants to go over the shaft, and then the second hole wants to go over that one there, which is our screw hole. And then what we'll do is we'll take our DP14 screw. Now is that shaft going to stay on display? That's my question. Right. And this might just hold that in a little bit better. Oh god, there's a lot of turning to do on that. There we go, that's in. That's not moving. So what we'll do now is we'll flip that over and we'll do the other side. So in there like so. Ah, see, now it's all making sense. So this has got a larger hole and that's going to keep that cog in place. Don't know if you can see that larger hole, guys. There we go, guys. I'm a lot happier with that. We're much happier with that. Right. So let's see how much movement there is. Oh, there's none at all. Oh, that's perfect. Right, I'm very confident that once we get the crank handle in there, that will be fine. So I am going to take a quick break, guys, because there's a bit of activity in the house. I don't want to record people who don't want to be recorded. See you in a moment. Okay, so it turns out that that was actually the end of that issue, issue 112, and now we go on to issue 113. Now we do have some parts with it, but I'm not going to show you those parts just yet because we start off with finishing off the parts from the last issue. Then we move on to the support. So what I'll do is I'll finish off what we're doing here, the first half of this magazine, then we'll do a parts checklist. So what we need to do now then, and I think we're going to have to turn this whole thing upside down, or at least on its side. So we are going to be fitting these supports. I don't know if you can see them okay. So with the chassis on its side, check that the screw hole in the strut, oh hello Spirit, you are in the way, aren't you? As always, she just wants some love. But you've had tons of love and you've had breakfast early. Right, so where were we? So we have a screw hole, there we go. Very hard to see. I'll see if I can flip it around and show you on the other camera. So where these supports meet, there's a screw hole just there and one on the other side. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting DD04 screws into there. And remember, we have these left over from the previous issue. Now I've chucked about 48 on the towel. Did I tell you I exaggerate with numbers sometimes? No, please don't, Spirit, because there's little tiny screws everywhere. I love you so much, but not enough for you to be on the table when there's small screws everywhere. Right, so I'm sorry you can't see what I'm doing, but giving you a radio commentary, they have gone in very, very nicely. And they are coming in from the front. I keep checking the magazine, but they are definitely coming in from the front. I thought maybe they would come in from behind so they wouldn't be seen so much. Now this one I'm struggling with. There we go. It's just a case of giving it a little tiny wiggle until those screw holes line up perfectly. And I'm going to need my other screwdriver. Even though this is going into plastic, that small screwdriver doesn't quite have the oomph. That's a lovely word, isn't it? Oomph. There we go. Right, so that's those half supported, and now the camera is just perfect for you to see what's coming next. So we need the right reinforcement. Check how it fits. It should fit something like that, perhaps. Want this to come underneath that support there, and this one also underneath. Right, okay, and that's going to be screwed in with DP14 screws. Now this might be slightly tricky because we're going to be working against gravity. We'll see how we get on. I suspect that once we've got the first one in, it's going to hold it a little bit. Right, now let me take a quick break. So my apologies for that short break, bear with me a sec. Sorry, just had a sneeze. Right, so this support, what I've just realised, it's got a little shaped fitting. I'll see if I can bring that closer. Oh, excuse me. So that will fit in only one way, and I didn't actually notice it until I saw it down there because obviously it's underneath. So what we'll do is we'll pop that in, so both of these go underneath. So I've got a screw ready, and I'm just going to pop that in just a little bit just so it holds it. There you go. Right. See, it's hanging, and then I can focus on this side. Oh dear, my hay fever's just kicked in. I don't know why I get worse hay fever in the winter than I do in the summer. You'd think it was the other way around, wouldn't you? Flowers and pollen and things don't really seem to bother me too much. Right, so I've got that in a little bit. So I'm going to go back to this side, make sure that is in properly. And we'll just keep going back. I'll just change the screwdriver. It's like I said before, this one's got a bit more oomph. Because it's plastic screws, we're just going to screw that until the resistance changes. It's I'm suspecting this support is there more for realism. It's not actually adding any support, but it looks proper then, doesn't it? Obviously when this is if this was real and it's all loaded up with heavy goods, you need that extra support. So I'm going to have to flip this over now, but we're going to do the other side, and that's going to go in like that. I don't know if you can't really see it, guys, I do apologize. So we'll flip this over and we're going to be working from the other side. So just like before, keyhole fitting. Is that going to go in? see if I can work at it this way round. Because I've got it the wrong way round, haven't I? That's why it's not fitting. Right, so you can just as easy work on this upside down actually. Right, so same as before, we get one screw ready and we're just going to pop that in just enough to bite, then that way we can let go of the part, it's not going to fly anywhere. It's probably easier just to push the screw all the way through and then find the end, and then we'll line this one up properly and we'll pop that one in as much as I can. Again, I can't find the hole. There you go. Right, let's see if I can cheat with my electric. I don't think I'll get it fully screwed up, but actually that's worked surprisingly well. I did put the screwdriver on charge for a little bit, but not enough. Right, so remember it's going into plastic, so actually I'm going to use this one because this is a ratchet screwdriver. I do like my ratchet screwdrivers. So we're just going to go in until the resistance changes. Lovely, I'm happy with that. So we've got one more thing to do, and for that I'm going to have to move it this way so that the handle is towards me. Now be careful when you pick this up, guys. Something I keep noticing, these are plastic and they're quite weak. Pick it up, if you have to use these support, use the bit in the middle, that's quite strong. But these, I think I bent one, I got away with it, but it is you can just see where it's gone a little. You can't see it on the camera, but you can see where it's gone a bit lighter. So we're going to put this crank handle on now, and it will be going a specific way, and the specific way that we want is so that it will go, when it's folded, this handle wants to be inwards, because obviously if we have it this way it's going to poke out. So we want it, the handle going in, so when it's not in use it's out of the way, and then when we pull it out we've got this handle there. So I'm going to keep it that way, and for that, to put this in, we want the pin, and what we're going to do is we're going to pop the pin in smooth side first. That's going to go through the handle, and again I don't have a pair of pliers handy, so we'll see if I can get away with it. I don't think I'm going to get away with it this time, unless if I can't do this, I'm just going to go with it, and I don't even think it's lined up properly. I think that's why that's not going through. Look, that handle's not coming off. It's not in properly, but I'll go with it until I can find some pliers. Right, so now it's time to test the supports, and I am confident. Oh, this isn't that good, is it? Right, I think that's moving. Yep, that's definitely moving, and they're both moving, and they're moving together. So now in real life you would never do that. Well, you could do this, right, but what you do, if it's this low, then obviously, oh I've got some stiffness. Yeah, that's about as far as it's going to go. So as you can see, look, you can't see the back wheel. You can see the back wheel, So you see it's actually off the ground, so that means that that is actually too far down. So we'll move that back. Oh god, it's stuck, it's clicking. I'm not happy with this. Oh, I've broken it. I can't remember which way round it goes now. There we go. Right. So I've actually overwound this. I knew there was a problem. I think it's the problem is with the screw. Yeah, I think the threads have gone. I was worried about plastic threads. There we go. I've got away with it. But I think I've screwed it unevenly. I think this is going to be one of those things that I don't touch. So yeah, with these wheels, they're going to be up once it's actually on the truck. They want to go a little bit higher than that, and then obviously once it's there we go, it's working now. It's working now. Right. So obviously I don't want to lower or raise these too much, but they are uneven now. I think where those plastic threads have gone. So I might end up taking this apart. Oh, here you go. That's about maximum. We'll see if that's going to be enough. Oh, it's still got a bit more movement on it now. That's as far as it will go. So don't overwind this, guys. So I mean, I'm going to display this anyway with the trailer attached, so I'm not overly bothered by these, but obviously it's nice if it can work. Just wonder if there's some way that handle can tuck away. Anyway, that's that stage complete. So now we're actually going to be working on the parts that came with this issue. So let's have a look at the parts. So we have received 3 parts of this issue, and they are here. So the parts, let's go over to the overhead camera. So the parts that we've got is actually 4 parts, 3 parts, sorry. Right, so we have got top support for trailer front panel, bottom support for trailer front panel, and right, there is a difference. This is the top, and the way I can tell the difference is that this has got 2 screw holes side by side, whereas the bottom support has got 2 screw holes, one above the other. And then with that we've got 3 PM screws, one of which is spare. And what we want to do is identify the bottom support, which is here. There we go. There's another way to tell as well that this has got some supports there, whereas this hasn't got those supports. Right. Identify the bottom support 11302 and fit it across the chassis. Pegs on the chassis beams fit into the holes on the tabs on the bottom support. So it's going to go, right, it can only go one way because we've got these little notches. And I've got to just, right, so these bits are actually out a little bit too much. So place one end on, just pull that beam in a little bit, and you might need to force it a little bit, but that doesn't want to fit, does not want to go in. There we go. That took a little bit of effort because these beams are out a little bit. I think what would have been perhaps an easier way is to screw one in and then you can pull the other one in. If necessary, use a small fine file to remove any excess from the pegs. Fix the supports in place with 2 DD01 screws. So nice and simple. I've lost all my screwdriver heads now. Where have they gone? Right. So fix the first one in place like so. And this one wants to go in nice and tight because it's metal, or a metal screw. There we go, that's gone in fine. And the second one can go in like so. Now, got a question for you guys. They saved this handle for this issue, although we had the parts last issue. Now, that wasn't an awful lot of extra work to carry over, and we could have done that in the last issue. But what I've just done there, 2 screws, if we'd done this in the last issue, that would have been all I'd have done in this issue. So would you be happy with that carrying over, or would you rather get all the parts over and done with? I think I'd rather get them all over and done with. Right, so this is saved for the next issue, which isn't going to be a problem because the next issue is now. The next issue is 114, and we are receiving just 1 part. So again, this part could have been saved over for the next issue perhaps, but then it would have meant we would have got less parts in the last issue. I don't know, it's just they do it a bit strange sometimes. Right, so we have got a plastic front panel trailer, and that does actually look really nice. You can tell which is the front and which is the back, can't you? Right, we've also got 9 PB screws, DPO5. Right, so what we want to do is take the front panel and the top front support, and I've got to work out which way round this is. I have got no idea. I think, right, we've got 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should give us an orientation. And looking at the pit, yes, right. So take the front panel and the top front support supplied with the previous issue. So I think that's going to go in there like that. Fit the support in place across the top of the inside of the front panel. Make sure that you have the panel 114 one the right way up, noting the position of the holes circled in yellow. So that is correct. And then what we want to do is take 4 screw holes, take 4 screws, sorry, and we are going to place them in these 4 screw holes here. So I'll do 1 just enough to bite, then I'm going to do the opposite side. Just enough to bite. To be honest with you, that second one was in almost full. Third one, just enough to bite. That then means the 4th one can go in all the way. So, because remember it's going into plastic, so we're just going to tighten until the resistance increases. And the only question I've got is that in? Which it is. Right, so check how the front panel fits. So the front panel is going to go something like that. Fitted to the chassis in the previous year. Screw holes in the bottom support aligned with sockets in the front. So that fits nicely. I see we're going to have to move back. Right, so we have an option now Fix the front panel in place of 4DP05. You may find it easier to fix in place if you temporarily remove the bottom bar. If you have removed the bottom bar, you do not need to reposition it until you have. Right, I think that was a little bit of trouble getting in, so I'm going to opt to screw this in. Now that means I've got to be careful, because while this is only fixed with 4 screws, it will be easy to knock off and damage. So having said that, that seems, just with 1 screw, not just enough to hold. That seems quite sturdy, guys. Right, there we go. I'm liking that. That's actually pretty sturdy. And there is supports to come in. I'm guessing there's flooring to come in. I mean, anyone who's made any boxes or anything will know. This is obviously 2 sides of a box, sort of 2 sides. And it's really not going to be that strong. And once you get a second side in, it's going to be stronger. Once you get the third and the fourth side of a box in, right, you've got some strength. Once you then add a 5th side, it's going to be very strong. And once you add a 6th side, it's going to be really, really strong. So I'm going to give this a very slight strength test. Right, those screws are in as much as I dare. Look, that's not too bad, is it? Right, I'm going to have to do a zoom out because it is getting rather large now. So this is my... Oh, I've just snapped one of those off. I knew that would happen. Right, so don't pick them up by these. I've got away with that. There are screws going to be going in there, but it means I've got to be very careful. Right, so that is the end of that pack. Now, I want to have a little play because I noticed there is a little notch there, which I think is going to fit into the cab. So I might even do some sound effects, guys. So here's my cab, which is getting caught up. That's fallen off again. This mudguard is doing my head in. Right, so we want these legs down further. Yeah, there's a big gap where that cog has gone. Right, I'm just going to pretend they're down. So beep 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 beep, and that's what it's going to look like. Something like that, I think. So it's getting somewhere now, isn't it? I'm rather happy with that. So I think I'm gonna lift these trailer legs up as much as I can, because I think I will display it with the trailer on anyway, and then if I need to lift them up, then I'll just support it. But at least I know they kind of work. It's just that when you get to the extremes, the cogs slip, and that's because they're plastic. There we go, that's evened the cogs up now. There we go, I'm going with that. So that's my... So I just can't go over any low bridges because that's... But yeah, so I can't do anything with that now until my next pack comes. Now the next pack is due any day soon. Obviously you're not going to see it until next week. It's now the end of January, so you won't see this till February. but I had a little look on the Hachette website, and I can see that that's not going to stay in there. Obviously there's a bit more work, I guess there's a bit more work to do on that. It's obviously going to be some kind of locking mechanism on that. So yeah, that is big. It won't fit on the camera. So it's starting to really look up now. I think the cab is finished. Still haven't figured out how to get the indicators going. I know there's been a lot of talk about the trailer lights, but I think there might be a way to do it. I think if we can get some wires running in there hidden and then interconnect them with this, maybe even purchase another issue where the lights come, that will give us some bulbs then. I'm pretty sure we could do something, and I know the really smart guys out there will. But yeah, so that's issue 114 complete. Obviously we've got the is it worth me trying to put the, see, I haven't quite got the room on that side of the table, so I can, yeah, that's as far as I can push it. Yeah, and right, I'm gonna, in order to show you all of the trailer, I'm gonna have to take the cab off. So yeah, at least we've not got many spare parts floating around. You know how these part works go. Yeah, like even maximum zoom out, I can't fit it all in. So that's going to go on something like that. So yeah, I know that the next few issues we're going to start connecting things up a little bit more. So yeah, that does worry me a little bit that that's like that. As you can see, that is a bit loose and wobbly, but I think that's going to survive. I think the biggest issue I've got are these supports here that I keep catching. I think this one. So obviously once I get some side panels in, these are obviously screw holes, that will strengthen those. Right guys, it's been a lot longer than I wanted this issue to be, but I'm happy with the result and I'm caught up. So obviously by the time this is published, the next issues would have arrived. So I will catch you for at least the issue 115, which is going to be front trailer support. So is that the bits on the side, do you think? Front left and right, front right supports for the trailer plus screws. So take care guys, I'll see you again. If I can figure out how to stop recording.